Hello and greetings, everybody, again. Welcome. Today is May the 28th. I see. I don't know because I don't pay attention, and I really don't care what day it is, honestly. The days are not for me to keep track of. But you guys, welcome anyways. It's May 28th. It is Tuesday, as I hear, and we are going to be talking today about a couple of things. So first of all, let me go, and I'm just going to, I came on a little bit early, well, not early. I came on time. How about that? I corrected. I came in on time today, and I have a couple of things that we're going to go and just speak on. So let me get over here. Today's has kind of a couple of titles. Today we're going to call this Navigating Ethical Competition. So stories and lessons from equity jurisprudence. So we're going to talk about a couple of things that people got to know. You guys got to know this stuff. Why? Why do you have to know it? Because if you don't know it, then you're going to be coming with unclean hands, and you're going to be looking like you don't know what you're doing. And that is where we come in as a ward. We come in without any knowledge, any authority, and we look like we don't have anything at all. We don't know what we're doing. So I want to play this for you really quick before we start.
The following program contains mature content and is the truth. No part herein is intended to be legal advice and is for entertainment purposes only. Audience discretion is advised.
Okay, so let us begin with the principle, he who seeks equity must do equity. Okay, you guys have heard this. Now, there are legal maxims, but these are not the same as equitable maxims. Legal maxims and maxims of law apply to law. They are not in equity. So you're dealing with two different realms here. You guys, those law maxims will only take you into law. Equity is what helps the little old lady that is widowed. Okay, that's equity. You're not going to get that type of help if you go and do other things. So he who seeks equity must do equity. Okay. The maxim is deeply rooted in ethical foundations of equity jurisprudence, and it insists that one can't seek fairness without first acting fairly themselves. It's a reminder that equity is a two-way street. Okay. It is a two-way street. All right. The etymology and historical content originates from the Latin principle, which is qui sentit commodum, sentire debet et onus, and it means it emphasizes reciprocity. So one thing for another, right? An eye for an eye, kind of. This idea dates back to the early court of chancery in England, and chancellors would only be able to give like relief to the plaintiff if they acted equitably. So somebody couldn't go and steal something, like somebody steals something from you and you go steal something back and then you take them to court because what you stole back wasn't enough. That's not okay. You can't do that. Like, you can't go and you take the law into your own hands. You need to stay into equity. So considering a case, Chappell versus Times Newspapers Limited, and this is in 1975, the plaintiff sought an injunction, which is an injunction, for those of you that are new, is something that either forces something or it prevents something. So injunctive relief would be a court telling somebody to do something or to stop doing something that they shouldn't be doing according to either a contract or some kind of agreement prior to, or something that breaches the peace, or something that breaches someone's private rights. So they could require somebody to compensate for any losses of their actions caused by like an employer. And that's really what this case was about. It required, the court required somebody to compensate for any losses and against actions against an employer, demonstrating that equitable relief demands equitable behavior. Okay. So the plaintiff sought an injunction to prevent his dismissal, which he was alleging a breach of contract. And the court required him to compensate because it wasn't a breach of contract. He breached contract. Okay. So here's a real life story. Imagine Sarah is a bakery owner and she trained her assistant, Emily. And Emily, in all the secret recipes and techniques that she's got, she knows all this stuff because Sarah taught her. Emily decided to start her own bakery and poached several of Sarah's employees. Instead of responding with hostility, Sarah approached Emily and suggested a partnership where they could collaborate, share resources, and avoid direct competition. By seeking equitable resolution, Sarah demonstrated fairness and professionalism in stark contrast to Emily's initial selfish action. Okay, the principle echoes the sentiments of Pomeroy equity jurisprudence. He who comes into equity must come with clean hands, and to keep them clean, or he will be dismissed from the court without relief. And that is a treatise on equity jurisprudence from John Pomeroy. Number 2 is equity regards as done that ought to be done. Okay. So next, equity regards as done what ought to be done. The principle means that equity treats obligations and intentions as fulfilled when fairness requires it. It's about honoring commitments, even if formalities are lacking. The principle reflects the flexibility and nature of equity, and it ensures that intentions and agreements are honored, even when formal procedures are not met. Okay? So a notable case on that, where equity regards as done that ought to be done, what ought to be done, is Walsh versus Lonsdale. Walsh versus Lonsdale. The court faced a situation where a lease agreement hadn't been formally executed. So they didn't fill out the lease agreement properly, but the parties acted as if they were in effect. So they were like paying and they were taking it and receiving it, and everything was hunky-dory, all good, right? And then the court treated the lease as executed. Thus, they upheld the parties' intentions. So when someone complains about something, if you're doing something with the intent of something and you make no record, then you are volunteering to do that, and it just is what it is. So picture John, who agreed verbally to sell his house to Lisa. Lisa paid a big part of the money of the purchase price and moved in and started renovations. And John delayed the transfer of the deed. Applying this principle, a court would likely treat the house as Lisa's, compelling John to complete the transfer, ensuring that Lisa's rightful ownership based on her fulfilled obligations. You see, when you guys go into arguing the law on this stuff, it's all flex. It all just flexes all over the place. And it's whatever, it is a debt. It is a debt that we're talking about. So it is whatever is all over there that is being conveyed out there. So that's really what it comes down to. Everything that is up to this point is what it comes down to. So applying the principle, the court would treat the house as Lisa's and compel John again to compete. The principle aligns with the explanation found in Story's equity jurisprudence. Equity will treat that as done which ought to be done and regard the substance and intent rather than the form and letter. So that's the difference between equity jurisprudence and the law. Okay. Number 3 is equity follows the law. So the third principle, equity follows the law, underscores the harmonious relationship between equity and common law. While equity provides flexibility and fairness, it does not override statutory provisions. So, guys, give me just a second here. I need to... All right, I'm going to be right back. All right, you guys. So, equity follows the law. The third principle, equity follows the law. It underscores harmonious relationships between equity and common law. And while equity provides flexibility and fairness, well, it does not override statutory provisions. Okay? So here's the deal, is when you have a record that's created, they're not going to tell you statutory does not, or statutory is not overrun by equity, okay? But if equity will follow the law, and if the law says that something is to something to a certain point, equity will see done that which ought to be done. But it's many times we have to create these scenarios, which equity will follow the law, but it also means that we have to create some of these situations. All right. The principle assures that equitable remedies are applied within the framework of established legal rules. It maintains a balance between justice and legal certainty. In Huggins versus Huggins, 1952, the court dealt with property distribution issues. While legal rules dictated the distribution, the court applied equitable principles to ensure a fair outcome that respected the law. If you consider a modern divorce case involving child custody, legal statutes provide a framework for custody decisions, but courts often apply equitable principles to ensure the child's best interests are served. For example, despite legal entitlements, a court might grant custody to the parent with stronger emotional bond with the child, ensuring the child's well-being takes precedence. And I can tell you for a fact that that doesn't work because these people are not operating in equity. There's no way that somebody can get a best interest of a life of a child in 8 hours or 16 hours or 40 hours or whatever, how many ever days you stay in trial for that. In the Adams doctrine of equity, equity follows the law and does not supplant it. But where the law is defective, equity supplies the deficiency. And that's really what you guys were lacking. We're deficient in many ways. And we have no way to remedy that until we go and fix those problems. Okay. So it doesn't look like I'm streaming right now to anywhere but Facebook, but that's okay. So you guys on Facebook world, it's okay. And hello, howdy, welcome. I'm going to be moving this. I will be putting this onto YouTube later today. So don't worry about that. So think about a company, Tech Innovators Incorporated. I don't know. This is just I don't know if this is a real company or not, but don't worry about it. Real Tech Innovators Incorporated. And that discovers its trade secret is being used by a competitor. Instead of acting immediately, they wait many years before taking legal action. By then, the competitor has built a substantial business around that secret. The court might deny Tech Innovators relief due to their delay and emphasize the importance of prompt action in protecting your rights. So you guys can't squander on your rights. You can't slumber on your rights. Pomeroy's equity jurisprudence, courts of equity uniformly decline to assist a person who has slept upon his rights and shows no excuse for his laches in asserting them. And laches is a time period when you find out about something, when that time period starts for that tolling. Okay, tolling is the time period from 0 to wherever you are right now. The next one we're going to talk about, that's really hot, is equity acts in personam. The principle equity acts in personam, it means that equitable decrees require personal compliance by the parties involved. The personal and discretionary nature of equitable remedies is what it highlights. And equitable actions target individuals rather than property itself, emphasizing personal accountability. Okay, so somebody is responsible for something that happens. Okay, and that's just what it is. Somebody is responsible underlying all of that. That's one of the really things. See, guys, this stuff is literally like this is the only connection. Equity jurisprudence is the only connection that we have in this realm that connects to the creator, that brings things back right. It makes things righteous again. It makes things to where it's like the equity of redemption is like the forgiveness of that substance of that thing. And so that's a big deal. Consider a case where an online retailer, Shop Now, spreads false information about a competitor, Buy Better. Instead of seeking broad market penalties, Buy Better addresses the individuals responsible for the defamation directly and demands retractions and apologies. If necessary, they seek court order from the individuals to stop their defamatory actions, ensuring personal accountability and compliance. So American jurisprudence noted in Story's equity jurisprudence that a court of equity acts upon the person, not upon the estate. It does not create a lien or charge upon the property itself, but only compels the defendant to do or refrain from doing certain acts. And that's what injunctive relief is. That's exactly what injunctive relief is. That's on Commentaries on Equity Jurisprudence in 1836 by Joseph Story. You guys can look that up as well. So the clean hands doctrine emphasizes the equitable relief available only to those who act ethically without wrongdoing in the matter at hand. The principle ensures that equity maintains moral integrity. Okay. So here's the deal, guys. Like, okay, this has happened to me a lot. Okay. Somebody will tell me I need something, or can you help me with this? And I'll go start it. And then it'll be way bigger than that. You just got to bring what the problem is. I'm not like, I've never said, oh, that problem is way too big. You need to bring that to one of those mega problem places where they can handle the mega problems. It's never been like that. It's just why people are deceptive in their ways and in initially not coming with clean hands. I truly believe that has been taught. Like, be deceptive because nobody is going to believe you. And then when you get their trust, then you can convince them otherwise. That's just the opposite of way it really, really works. Because I'm telling you guys, if you come with dirty hands, okay, if you come with your hands not clean, unclean hands, then you're going to be starting off with a bad vibe from the beginning. Imagine this. Imagine like you have a frequency that is between 1 and 100 is all bad stuff and 200 to 300 is all good. I'm making this very simple just for the sake of explanation. But if you're doing stuff everything falls into the 100s, it's going to always be bad every single time. And that's the same thing that you're dealing with. When you guys are doing things, we're not relating anything to being frequency. We're relating it to an outcome. We're relating it to avoiding wanting to get our ass in a sling because we don't want to get into trouble. That's what we're basing our decisions on all emotional and all based upon fear. And you're like, oh my God, he's not going to talk to me if I don't tell this truth. And that is just like the 100% the opposite of the way that I think. It's just not even close. I have I don't judge anybody, guys and gals. I myself was judged my entire life, which is why I have this group that I even created, because it's about someone always having their thumb on you and telling you that you have to operate in a certain way. And you guys, like, when you learn enough information, you realize that it just isn't what it is, or some things are not what they're what someone else wants us to think versus what we can independently be. And if somebody's encouraging you or making you think a certain way, then you're going to get the result of whatever they encourage. So that's why it's a very competitive realm that we live in for results. People are trying to get results, and a lot of this pressure involves the results that we need, or we're trying to look for. So in the principle ensures that only those who act fairly and without deceit can seek equitable remedies. So, like, I'm going to say that, I don't necessarily, I'm just going to say, I don't agree with the way that anyone, I've had let's just say this. I've had I've had two admins in the whole entire time that I've been here. I've had two admins who have left equitably. Seriously, that's a true story. And I've had over 20 admins. At one time, I had almost 20 admins. So that just goes to show you, like, there's a lot of, non-disclosure, and a lot of, like, people are sneaky when they are wanting something, and they're friendly when they don't, need anything. So, and the other thing too, like, here's what I want to say. I want to say this, that, and again, I said this yesterday, but again, this has to do with a lot of this clean hands doctrine and the things that, people that have all been my admins have been given a duty, and it's been a fiduciary duty to take care of you guys. And many of these I found out like after the fact that they were doing things that were not equitable, and I didn't know about those things. So I'm here to say that I have now a amazing crew of admins that are just kick ass and awesome. They're the most honest and honorable people you would ever want to meet. And I'm going to tell you who they are. They are Iron Man Canada, who is Dean. They are Benny for Pause, and that's Rhonda. And they are JC, which is my right hand helper. And she's the one that helps you guys when you guys try to get a hold of me or you're wanting to schedule some help. I have Gina, who is the Lena in the story of the Cajun who keeps the shotgun on her porch because her granddaddy taught her to. And I have Carol, who is kind of Gina's. I'm not sure whether she's the sidecar or Gina's the sidecar, but I think they alternate driving that bike down the road. But that's Thelma and Louise. So you guys, those are the most trustworthy people that I've had. And this is like what it comes down to as far as people that would always be there. These people are not looking to try to, they're trying to help you guys. All right. This channel was established a long time ago. I don't care what anybody tells you. It's coming straight from the horse's mouth right here. Mr. Ed is telling you right now that I created this channel to help people, and we've done nothing but help people. And I give a lot of my time to help people. And there's admins that I have that give a lot of their time to help people because there's nobody that we're going to turn away. And I know you guys have been turned away in the past by other people, even maybe people in this group that I did not necessarily know. I thought I knew. And I can only do this with trust, right? And some people just are really good at covering those things up and not showing that. And those people are gone a long time ago. They left, and we began this anew. And now we just keep getting better and better and better and improving at things we're doing. So just know that, where I learned this, well, I learned this straight from Creator. Now I have some people that have helped me to understand it better, but you know what? Straight up from my Creator. The stuff that I've shown people, straight up from my Creator. It's not from me. It's not from anyone else. It's straight up from the Creator. And if somebody wants to take the stuff that someone teaches them and go and teach other people, I don't know. I'm not really even sure, but that's okay. You guys can do that, but you can't expect me to support something that I just taught you to do. And now you're going to profit and do that. And I'm not going to support that at all. I have nothing to support in that because that is not really clean hands. That is own private interest. That is not related to helping people at all. That's a private little agenda that someone's pursuing. And that's cool. I'm fine with that. But I'm going to tell you guys that the other ways, the alternative ways of anybody that's ever left here is a secondary way. Okay. It is not what you're going to find that is remedy. It is going to be something that is scant. It is going to be a secondary thing where you're waiving one thing to get something faster, but you're not going to get what you want. I promise you're not. You waive your equity when you do other things. And I've been telling these people this, which is why I wouldn't endorse this, which is why people have left. And so I just want people to be clear that, you can make whatever decisions you want, but I'm asking you, do not come back to me after you make the decision to go do something less than equity because someone's telling you it's equity when it's not, because they don't understand it. And if they did, they wouldn't be coming to me to try to learn it in the first place. So respectfully, I just want to make sure that we're clear and everybody knows that, second place is the first loser. And no disrespect, I'm not in a competition with anyone, but I'm also not in a competition with anyone. Do you get it? Like, I'm not trying to compete. There is nobody out there that really comprehends this trust stuff as well as what we put together in this group here. And I'm not gloating. That is not like my pride. This has nothing to do with me, folks. This has nothing to do with me. I get up and I serve a creator every single day. And you guys just happen to be the beneficiaries of that stuff. The ones that want to take the time out and learn, perfect, man. I'm all there for you. I'm willing. And if those of you that have ever met me, that know me, know that I'll take the time out to help you with that. the ones that talk negative are the ones that don't even know. They just hear something from someone else and then they presume, oh, well, he's a bad person, or I saw 2 posts that were negative. Well, yeah, there's negative stuff. I'm going to tell you, folks, people put negative things out there so you'll pass judgment, so that you will automatically not go where you can get help. Because think about that. If people were getting help all the time in every situation, then they would be out of business. This corporation would be out of business. So moving on, we have the next step, which is fiduciary duty. Okay. Fiduciary represents the highest standard of care and loyalty required in certain relationships. My admins have a fiduciary duty to what we're doing here because I created a trust where you guys are the beneficiaries, we are the trustees, and it ensures fiduciaries act in the best interest of those that they serve. The term fiduciary, it derives from the Latin, not douche, but fiducia, so meaning trust. Fiduciaries must act with loyalty and care, okay? In Bristol and West Building Society versus Mothew in 1998, the court articulated the fiduciary duties of a solicitor, emphasizing the importance of loyalty and care in fiduciary relationships. When you guys learn equity, you will learn to compel them with accounting to do stuff for you. You can compel your fiduciaries to do things once you understand the concept of everything. I got a hole in my cup and I just spilt it all over my shirt. So there you go. You can't see, but I can feel it. So suppose a CEO of a company, Green Energy, discovered that some directors were making decisions that benefited their personal investments at the expense of the company. And the CEO takes immediate action, reminding the directors of their fiduciary duties and seeking legal recourse to ensure they acted in the shareholders' best interests. It upholds the high standards required of fiduciaries and ensures trust and loyalty in their actions. So, as explained in Story's Equity Jurisprudence, fiduciary duties are the highest duties known to the law, requiring the utmost good faith and loyalty. And that is, again, Joseph Story commentaries. Part performance, okay? Part performance. It refers to actions taken that partially fulfill contractual obligations, all right? Allowing courts to enforce contracts even if formal requirements are not met. The principle ensures equitable relief based on substantive actions, okay? So substance, actions that are of substance. The etymology is the principle allows courts to enforce agreements based on actions taken in reliance on the contract, even without formal documentation. So if someone says something or says, I'm going to make a payment on Friday instead of Tuesday, and you start doing it, then that is what it is, right? It's just part performance. You're doing what part of what you said you'd do, and somebody accepted it too. In Madison versus Alderson in 1883, part performance of an oral contract for the sale of land allowed the court to enforce the agreement despite the lack of written documentation. So imagine a tenant, James, who verbally agreed his landlord, Maria, to buy the rental property. I'm going to turn something on real quick here. Sorry. So you guys can see that. To buy the rental property. Okay. Let's see. Let me go back. James begins extensive renovations, investing significant time and money. Maria hesitates to transfer the deed. Under the principle of part performance, a court would likely enforce the sale based on James' actions, ensuring that Maria can't renege on the agreement after inducing such reliance. So part performance or of a parallel agreement, when the acts done in part performance unequivocally refer to and result from the agreement, will take the case out of the operation of the statute of frauds. The statute of frauds means it needs to be in writing, okay? And that's found in a treatise on equity jurisprudence again. So unconscionability refers to actions or contracts that are shockingly unfair or oppressive. This principle allows courts to intervene and prevent exploitation or justice, okay? So something that's unconscionable, the term unconscionable comes from the Latin un, meaning not, and conscionabilis, conscionabilis, meaning agreeable to conscience. Okay. Agreeable to conscience. So something that's not agreeable to the conscience is unconscionable. So, like, I couldn't even think of that. That's not agreeable to the conscience. Okay. In Earl of Chesterfield versus Jansen in 1750, a court refused to enforce a contract deemed unconscionable due to excessive interest rates, illustrating the principle that equity will not uphold agreements that shock the conscience. So, shocking the conscience is an equitable term that's been related and conveyed over to not equity, but into statutes. So, statute is the jealous ass girlfriend. Statutes is the jealous ass boyfriend for you guys and gals that have, or the jealous husband or the jealous wife. Okay. That is what statutes are. When statute looks at equity, it's like, oh my gosh, I wish I could do that. It's super jealous. Okay. So what they've done is, in the jealousy, in its own acting, okay, they have adopted the same things that equity has, like injunction, right? So now equity has the injunction or a writ for injunctive relief, and now statutory is like, well, I want that too. So it created its own injunctive relief. So now you have a statutory injunctive relief as well. And that's why people get confused, because they're operating in statutory thinking, oh yeah, I'm in equity. No, you're not in equity. You don't even know where you are. And that's really a problem. If we don't know where we are, that's a problem. And that's where all of this irrational stuff comes from. Okay. You guys have to understand court cases from the beginning to the end. If you don't know what's happening, you're never going to figure this thing out. You're never going to figure it out. And it's a trust. It's just a trust, but you got to figure out how to operate in trust to get out of trust. Story's Equity Jurisprudence says, if a contract or any of its stipulations be of such an unconscionable nature as to shock the conscience of the court, equity will not enforce it. So if it's not where you said you understand, you completely understand, you're of sound mind and body, you're good to go, then you can't agree to it. Okay. So in conclusion, my friends, these principles of equity provide us with a robust framework to handle unfair competition and maintain integrity in our business practices. And by adhering to timeless principles, we not only uphold the fairness, but justice, and also set forward for others to follow. Remember that in business and in life, that acting honorably and fairly always puts you on the right path. And we are supposed to be the change we wish to see and lead by example. So if you guys are out there leading by example, then you're doing amazing, and you're much appreciated. You're much appreciated anyway, but it's better if you lead by example, I say. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to talk to you guys about, really quick, I'm going to talk to you guys about the Hague Convention. So we have this. Actually, what I'll do is I'll put it into a Word document so you can see it. And I'll put it on the screen. And you know what? Again, this is free, guys, so don't complain about my my work. This is on my time. I'm doing this for you guys on my time. All right. Okay, so we'll talk about this right here. And okay, so let's show you guys the screen. Window, there we go. Right there. Okay, so this is the screen. All right. So the Hague Convention. All right. What is the Hague Convention? It deals with international legal matters. All right. So let's just say a guy named Jim. Okay. There's a guy named Jim out there who has kids, right? And say he marries somebody from Australia. And someone from Australia says, well, you're the biggest. Hold on. Okay, you're the biggest hole that I ever met, and I'm leaving you and I'm taking the kids. Okay. And they go back to Australia and take the kids. And like, you don't know what's going on. You're like, what in the hell's going on? So you run into something called the UCCJEA and the PKPA, which is a uniform commercial or the uniform code of how they handle titles, basically people and titles to people or to property over international correspondence. So what they did is they created what's called a Hague Convention, Hague, Hague. Okay, and members of this agree on international level to become a part of this contract. It's a contract that is outside of treaties that actually allows for if someone, say for example, she takes off with the kids to Australia and doesn't get in touch with the husband, and the husband is still the trustee of the family, so until they get it resolved, she can't just walk away. So the court would order, basically would go through the treaty, the agreement, through the Hague Convention, and say, hey, we have this agreement and you're holding one of our people, or that's what they would say, you're holding our property and we need you to relinquish that, because that's what the treaty does. It gives each country saying that, okay, well, if they go to your house, John, then you agree to turn them over to me. If they go to your house, Betty, then you agree to turn them over to me. If they come to my house, then I agree to turn them over to you. That's the reciprocity. Okay, so they are reciprocating one for another. You do it for me and I'll do it for you. That's the agreement. So they're making an agreement with them. So these are the ones for the Hague Convention. Now I'm going to show you guys something else. Give me just a moment here. And I'm going to show you the ones that are not. All right, so it's a lot different than the other one. Hold on just a second. I'll show you this. I should have put it all into one at the same time, but I didn't. Okay. So let's go and share with you again. All right. So you guys look at this. This is the right here. Members of the Hague. Okay. 2024. Several countries are not members of the Hague. Africa, and this small list right here. Africa, Asia, Americas. Now, I'm not real sure. This is kind of, I don't know when this, you guys got to be real careful, okay? Be careful with this, because I don't know if it's doing apostilles this year, but I don't know about those. So just be real careful about them. But this is what was produced as far as results from the non-Hague countries, okay? Now, when people are telling other people, they're saying, well, you need a non-Hague convention country or you need a 9080 EIN. Those things are to take you outside of the jurisdiction of the United States. That's the goal. That's what these people are trying to do, trying to accomplish, because what it is when you're born into the United States or into a title of the United States, you're not actually a citizen until certain things happen. And you shouldn't be a citizen, but there are certain things that have happened. And this is one of those things where it's kind of like, imagine a snowball that just keeps rolling, and the people that are not aware of it, it just automatically picks up and adds to the snowball. That's really what the whole citizenship status, or when people were talking about status correction, that's what's happened, correcting it from what it really was. And, there are people that are going to tell you that I don't have to correct anything because I know my creator, and that is not my creator, and it didn't come from anywhere with that. And I'm going to tell you guys again that part of being in honor with that, part of being honorable about all those particular scenarios and situations, is coming with clean hands. It's saying, you know what? I'm not perfect, man. I've done these things and I've done them the wrong way. And I admit I've done them the wrong way, and I want to make them right, whatever that means, making them right. And, we say making them right. Well, Most people think you got to go and pay everything 100% off. You don't have to pay your bills off, folks. The bills that you got into the wrong way. So you got to figure out what you did, and you got to figure out, well, start. You don't need me. You don't need me or this channel. What you need is your contract. You need your contract and your eyeglasses, and go put those on. And you need a quiet place, and go spend a little time with yourself with that. And when you start reading that, you're gonna probably roll over in disgust, because you're going to see what you gave away, and that, well, everything that I'm telling you or told you on this podcast or any other one is 100% the truth, that there is no tangible money that you're going to see. There's only accounting. You have not been accountable for anything you've ever been doing, because there's accounting on the private side. Show me what you've submitted for accounting, because if you're doing your accounting, like I said, there's no money. But you have no tolling. No, I've never seen anybody that has an accounting. Nobody's ever showed me an accounting. I've shown people how accounting happens, and I've shown people how it used to be done, because that's the way it used to be done. People would participate in it. But then when you hand over your all of everything that you have, and you say, here, handle this for me, then you don't know what's going on anymore. And that's where people are not accountable. And even if they're not accountable, they don't tell you. They don't say, hey, well, I'm doing this right, or I'm not doing this right, or they don't say anything. They're not going to cue you in on what they're doing that you can do to change to make a better deal for yourself. No one is going to help you, okay? This is one of those things where, like, you buy a car that looks like a convertible. It looks like a convertible. It's got the top, but it doesn't open up. And then later on, you just realize it's a switch. It's been convertible the whole time. But you never had the switch there, so you didn't have the choice, right? So you never could make your car a convertible. But it always had the ability to be convertible, right? It always had the ability to be convertible, but you just didn't know the option was there. When you learn that you have options, then you have the ability to choose whether you want to exercise those or not. When people are oppressing or suppressing or covertly or overtly hiding things from you, or I don't want to say hiding, but covertly placing things strategically in places or overtly doing that, then you deserve to know that the information exists there. Well, we also have to be accepting of the fact that we want to accept and hear the information. If we're constantly telling ourselves, oh, no, I don't want to hear that. Don't tell me that crazy stuff. That stuff is crazy. Because it's really hard for some people to believe. It's hard for people to wake up one day and go, so you're telling me that I have to tell that everything that I've been doing has been a lie, and it's all been someone else's stuff, and it's been based upon my perception of what someone else gave me? Yeah, pretty much. And that's pretty much, we all go through that. I went through the same thing, going, oh my gosh. And you kind of just, it's like any other thing that you learn about that, maybe you learn that somebody has a belief that you don't believe in, and it kind of makes you feel the same way. Like, oh my gosh, I never even knew you felt that way. Or somebody's, maybe somebody expresses something you didn't know. Well, that's kind of the same thing. It's just we don't know certain things until we know certain things. You guys don't know what you don't know. I talk to people all the time that will argue with you. They'll curse at me and tell me, you can't tell me I don't know who I am. F you. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm just, you literally just told me that you were going to do something that said that it wasn't who you are. Because I see you guys as like really amazing beings who can do anything you want. And you see yourself as limited based upon what someone else told you to do. We're not the same in that thinking. And my perception of you is higher than your perception of you. And so you need to raise your perception of yourself and know that you have the ability to do all of this, any of it. You can do whatever you want. Everybody's just told you, no, we handle it. We handle it. We handle it. We handle it. And so you've just gone, okay, we'll handle it. And then if they do something to make it go away, so it's not like irritating you, like going, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you, then you're okay. As soon as they take that away, because they're sitting here annoying you guys, I'm not touching you. And then when they take that away, you're like, okay, I don't care. Just don't do the I'm not touching you thing. Just keep it away. Keep it over there. And you're complacent with that. And that's how they encroach on you. They move a little bit. Have you ever had a dog that just couldn't sit across the room from you. It had to, but you wanted it to sit across the room. And every time you didn't look, it would creep over a little bit further and a little bit further. And before you know it, it was sitting next to you. And you're just like, I know what you did, because it's pretty clear you're not over by the door anymore, but you still let them stay there, right? I mean, it just is what it is. Like, we don't know what we don't know. We don't know we have options until we have the knowledge to give us that other alternative option. And when you have these things, you will see. And I'm telling you guys, I had somebody that just recently got with me, and I'm not going to say any names because I'm going to say it's an older person. Okay. This person had a foreclosure just stopped recently. They got a 30-day stay on their foreclosure, which is great, but they did it all their own, and they did it with knowledge. They just went and applied knowledge, and then they went and talked to the right people, and they're in communications right now, negotiating everything in a equitable way. It doesn't have to be ugly, folks. It really doesn't. But people don't know what to do or how to do it, and that's just knowledge. I don't specifically say, okay, well, here's the document you got to file, because here's the problem. And I talked to you guys about this, and I don't do anything with documents. I don't practice law or practice anything, man. Anything I do, I get good at. I don't practice it, okay? And you'll never see me with like a bar card, because I don't like to drink anymore. And so I don't go to the bar. And I'm not members of any private groups either, except for the ones that I created for you guys to like better your lives, to better yourselves, and to learn like equitably who you are and where you come from, and to convey like, the things that you do. You guys are creators, man. That's your job. You should be out there creating stuff. You understand that when we are I want to say when we're under contract with somebody for something that doesn't exist, we're making a deal that is not a good deal. All right. You guys, your time, some of you guys are selling your time for, $20 an hour and stuff. And I know that seems like what you've got to do, but how much extra time would it take to go and learn? The time is not what costs you money. The time costs you the expanse from here to here. The knowledge is what's going to change the situation, so you don't have to worry about that anymore. So I'm saying to implement your time and your studies into this. It's really hard to do this when you're seriously got I'm not touching you in your face, and you're trying to not be agitated by things that go on, or you're trying not to be manipulated or controlled. That's really difficult to do. And I give kudos to a lot of you out there who are doing that right now. But it's a matter of having knowledge. And when you can go in front of, an attorney general, and you can speak exactly with confidence, exactly who you are. What they're doing, folks, they're serpents, okay? They're testing you. They're sitting back and they're looking at you going, do they know who they are? Or can I convince them? Can I tell them who they are? They are literally doing that. And some of them do it very tactfully. John Michael Doe. Are you John Doe? John, you've been charged with this today, right? I mean, that's how they sound. It's just matter of factly, right? And we don't think, because we're off guard. Like, now they've moved on to the other thing. Oh, I was going to tell them about that, but I moved on to this. You just waived your equity. You waived your right. You shouldn't be there in the first place. That's what I teach you. You shouldn't be there in the first place. Second place is that if you're going to be there, at least know who you are. Or you're going to get walked all over. I've had people where literally they were told things, and because they never acted on what they were told, they literally got sucked right back into the statutory jurisdiction. And I don't know. I don't even know what happened to some of these people, because they don't listen. They just do whatever they want to do. And when they do stuff because they get scared, it's the old stuff. It's the run. It's the fight and flight stuff. It's like panic and run like hell. And when you panic and run like hell, you're not acting honorably anymore, because you can't do both. You can't panic and be calm and collected at the same time. Those are two opposites. You can't agree with thine adversary quickly and not communicate with them. Those are totally opposite. Okay. So when you guys are doing something, your acts that you're scared are nothing to be scared of. They are merely a notice that needs to go to somebody because you just didn't know about something. And it is your obligation. It is your obligation. It is your obligation if you want to be out of this problem and you are saying that you're a beneficiary. It's your obligation to notify these people what the situation is. Not after you get a bill and say, oh, wait, you sent this to the wrong address because now I got to pay. Oh, no. Wait, definitely the wrong address. Most definitely the wrong address if you got to pay this. If you don't have to pay this or you guys are sending me a check, then you definitely have the right person. You got the right person. In fact, I'll give you my personal cell phone number so you can call me if you got a check. But if you're trying to get a hold of the guy, no, that's the other guy. You know, I don't need him. See, that's where the dishonor comes in because we don't understand what it is that we're even talking about or what these people are asking us, what they're implying. They're telling us to pay something that we can't. So your agreement or your silence to disagree is agreeing with them. I mean, you guys, you would think that this world is really easy with the way that people just agree with stuff, but it's not an agreement in a conversation. It's agreement in a piece of paper that scares somebody because somebody doesn't know how to respond to a piece of paper. Wait, who's the boogeyman behind this piece of paper? Where are they? That's a mystery, right? And that's why you're not getting remedy because there is nobody behind it. There is nobody until you get equity. Okay. When you guys are contacting these companies and you're saying, hey, John Deere tractors, you guys billed me twice for my tractor. You're contacting them as the debtor. You have no rights. Zero. You already gave them away. You can't go back and try to get something. You have to go and figure out how is this thing all set up? How does this paradigm completely go together? And how do we mesh into this? Where do I fit into this? I have got the wrong role. You guys are running a business, but you're running it way wrong. You're running a business without any accountability. You're expecting people to do the accounting for you, which has been happening, but it's not been for you. It's been done, but it has not been for you. Believe me, when I tell you that you were born into a world where there is no money, how are you paying? How are you paying money if there is none? How are you doing that? What you're doing is you've made a side agreement of something on the side that exists through a private contract with a private company to do something that is impossible. And congratulations, because we should have the biggest world book of world records that everybody has broken because everybody's managed to be something that they can't. A fiction. You guys have been managed to be like the worst superheroes ever. Even though I love you very much, you need to trade your cape in for something new. This like handyman superhero stuff isn't working. Okay. You guys need to move on from the handyman. That's or Fire Marshal Bill. Okay. We're not going to be Fire Marshal Bills and handymans. Okay. We got to move up and move on because we're way better than that. We don't like we don't wear our stupid costumes and stuff, guys. We run this show as soon as we realize it, I'll tell you, and I hate to refer to it. I always refer to like cartoons, and I don't love cartoons. I have cartoons because I teach with them. I seriously do. I have a Bug's Life on my YouTube channel because I use it to teach. I use that whole analogy in A Bug's Life. And you know what? We're going to have to dissect some of these one day. I'll do that. I will do that. I'll go in. In fact, maybe that's what I'll do tomorrow. Maybe I'll bring up A Bug's Life. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to also have coming up because I had an interesting question about yesterday's podcast that I did. I talked about whether participating with genetically modified foods that were for sale were your consent to making more or using those genetically modified things in the military jurisdiction, which is what we're under. Okay. Every one of us, whether you guys think you are or not, you're like, no, I'm not a military jurisdiction. There's no military anywhere near me. Well, I hate to tell you, but go down and look at your local parks where you live. You'll see, I have a picture of the park where it's near me, very near me. There's a cannon in the middle of the park. A cannon, like a 50, not even a 50. It's like a 30 millimeter cannon sitting in the right in the middle of the the sawdust where all the kids play. It's right smack dab in the middle. It's a big green cannon, and it's all over the state of Colorado. And the reason why it's there, folks, it's mental. They're governing you mentally because they're putting the military presence in front of you all the time. It's notice. It's public notice that you're under military jurisdiction. Whether you acknowledge it or you see it or not their problem. They gave you notice. These things are all around you and all around me too. They're all around all of us, but we got to pay attention. And that's what this channel, the YouTube channel, Equity Eyes, is about. That's what I teach you guys, is to see the things that are not out there for just perception to see. Just everybody, like the things that they tell you and are sending you out consistently are not the things that you want to see. The things that they give you are what they want you to see. And you're at a loss of that because of those things. All right. I'm going to just move this up so you guys can see the non-Hague here while we're talking. Let me do this. But so this is what I wanted to do here. Okay. So anyway, so this is kind of what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to kind of bring out some things that, you guys, we have to make sure that when we're doing anything with anyone, every single relationship we have can be amazing and good, but it can only be amazing and good with communication. Don't convey to somebody what your intent is before you do something, then it could be deceived, or it could be perceived as deception, or it could be perceived, or it's hard to like not receive something the way it's given to you. If somebody hands you a turd with sprinkles on it, it's hard to not say you don't want to eat it in front of them, right? Because I certainly wouldn't eat it. Like, you keep your turd with sprinkles. I don't want that. Get that ugly, nasty thing away from me. And take your sprinkles too. Take everything. Get the hell out of here. That's really what you do. I don't like, I don't give anybody less than my 1,000% every time I help you guys. Every single time. My heart's in it every single time. If you guys think that I don't go like thinking about and waking up in the middle of the night, or not even in the middle of the night, but because I'm usually wake up in the middle of the night. So I can't say I wake up in the middle of the night for your problems, because I wake up in the middle of the night anyways. But when I do go over these things, I know I have a checklist in my head. I'm like, okay, I got to get this to this, this to this, this to this. You guys ask JC, ask her. I'll call her randomly. Yeah, but did you got to get this? I got to get this because I just remembered it. And I know I have this, like, I don't know what it is, but I have this schedule in my head that I know each one of you that are like, seriously, when your heart is in the right place, my heart is 1,000% behind you. I swear to you, I will back you on 100% everything you do. And I will be there like all the time. You ask JC, like, she's seen it. She's seen the people that I stand by, and it's the people that are honorable and that come to me with just be straight up and honest. Like, I can help anybody do anything, but I need the truth. I need to hear it from you guys. I need to hear it from you first. And as long as I have, clean hands up front, then I'll give you guys 100%, 1,000%, whatever. Just so you know, it's everything that I have, because I don't want to see anyone hurt ever, never. And even people that have, wronged me, I've still helped them because, well, why not? People make mistakes. I'm not the judge of anybody. And on the last day when, if there's a time where we're judged, then I'm not going to be judging anybody then either. Like, I've got my own stuff, and my energy needs to go towards my stuff, not any of you guys, okay? I appreciate all of you guys, and I know that you guys have your own issues, but you guys have your own issues that you created that only you can uncreate. So what you did is you put the needle through like a whole bunch of things. You threaded the needle, and I can't unthread it for you because you sewed with it, and you got to unsew back what you sowed. So you got to reap what you sow, all right? And that's really, literally your fruit of what you've created is where you've got to stop things. So I really appreciate you guys coming out today. And I'm sorry that the thing got started a little bit rough, but we'll get that fixed. And we'll, okay, so hold on just a second. I see questions, so I'm going to answer these questions. Will I teach how to create promissory notes. Okay, that's a good question, Ash. So I teach you guys how to create promissory notes, but I teach you something better than promissory notes, because promissory notes are creating debt, and I teach you how to get rid of it, not create it. Okay. So yes, I do teach you that, but I don't want to get you in debt. And I want you to know, like, if I give you a gun and say, here's a gun, I want you to go hunting. But if it's like a 30 millimeter cannon, you're going to come back with a lot of mess, and it's not going to you're not going to have any meat. So what good is that 30 caliber cannon or 30 millimeter cannon to you? It's no good. It's overdoing it. So I give you what you need in order to make and create what you're trying to do. So yes, I mean, we'll talk about all that. You need to know those things exist. You need to know what bills of exchange are. You need to know what promissory notes are. You need to know what tender is. You need to know what accord and satisfaction is. You need to know what discharge is. All that stuff you need to know, but you gotta, like, you have to take one by one and dissect it, because there are also those same terminologies in statutory that there are in equity. So you want to remain in equity, because if you waive your equity, then you are down in something subordinate to your actual rights. You watched a video creating these to dissolve your debt. Okay, so you will find that a percentage of the dissolve your debt stuff will go through. Some of it will not, and it's enforceable. But again, it's enforceable in equity only. So what you're doing is you're creating controversy kind of as a trustee in that situation. You're going down below where your rights are, and you're doing something you don't have to do. That's the dissolve your debt. That's the acceptance for value. This is equity, so it's different. It's actually, you're saying that shouldn't exist in the first place, so you go fix it and make it right the way it was, because you guys created it. You can do whatever you want to with it once you learn and have the authority. You don't have the authority with just that dissolve your debt, because you're creating another transaction as an agent, and they can listen or they cannot, because you already contracted. You already made an agreement that says you guys can do whatever you want, and I'm the subordinate person. So we have to fix that. Yes, I can see questions. When you buy something, aren't you consenting? So when you buy foods, maybe you could be. You could be accepting or consenting to something. That's what the whole point of that program was, is that it's a record. Okay. So if you don't object to something, then you waive a right and you consent to something else. Okay. So if I go to your house, okay, you might have a rule, Ash, that says you have to come and take your shoes off before you come in my house. But you also have a right to not go in the house, right? You can say, oh, hell no, I don't ever take my shoes off for anybody. So you guys can make a deal at that point. You're like, no, I don't take my shoes off for anybody. And they might say, well, how about I get you some tape to put them on the bottom of your shoes, and you can wear your shoes in my house with tape on it. That's ridiculous, but nevertheless, let's just pretend. Or bags or something, like those surgical bags. You can make a compromise in that, but your participation is not necessarily the thing that makes you obligated. It's you're not speaking up as to what involvement your participation has. That's where you win, and that's where you lose. Those are where we're getting bamboozled, because we don't assert those positions. We're not creating trust. If no one knows what your rules are, then it falls under a public ruling set that does not favor you, and it's under benefits and privileges, not rights. Rights are subordinate. To carry a gun around in the woods or anywhere else is a right. When you go into a municipality, you trade in that right for a Second Amendment right, which is a constitutional right, and that's subordinate to God's rights, because God said you could do whatever you want as long as you weren't harming anybody's life, liberty, or property. So passing on and knowing your different steps and your different levels where you are and what you diminish yourself to is super important. It's really important. I appreciate very much the questions. Yes, and I have my shoes off right now. So thank you for letting me come over. I appreciate your hospitality. You guys, I want you to have an amazing day. I send you much love and energy, and I will see you again tomorrow. I want you to know this is really not easy to get these discussions 4 times a week. This is really hard. I got to figure out another way to do this because it's taking up a lot of time. But I'll keep doing it, and I want you guys to just be aware and be aware that, you know, there's things out there and there's boogeymen out there, but it's not me. You guys have